Hello, I am a self-contained teacher. I teach students who have very low IQs and have behavioral problems. They stay in my room at least 40% of the day, sometimes more. We have a few who stay up to 90%. He is nonverbal. But I also have a student who can go outside of the classroom for 40 to 60% of the day, and he can do social studies and science in a general education class. Now, while he was going to this general education class, there's also a student in there who has an IEP. And his IEP, he has a hard time controlling his emotions, and so he started to bully my student who has a very hard time voicing what is happening. And we know that from statistics, children with disabilities such as physical, developmental, intellectual, emotional, and sensory disabilities are at a greater risk of being bullied. And the student who was doing the bullying, he came from a family where there is bullying, aggression, violence at home. That was another statistic of bullying. That was a reason why someone would bully. And also, he bullied this student because of another statistic that says that students who are perceived as weak or unable to defend themselves are more likely to be bullied. And that's really sad that he would do that, but he really couldn't control it. And I'll give you an example of how it happened. This is my student who will be going into the other general education classroom. He goes in and he has a seat at a table with other students. Well, as soon as he sits down, this student starts talking about him, telling him that he stinks, that he shouldn't be there, that he's too dumb, that there's no reason for him to be in this classroom. He can't do any of these things. And this went on for months. And after a while, the little boy just got so desperate, he didn't even want to come to school anymore. And so he would tell his mother, I don't want to be at school. I would rather die than go to school, was his last statement that we heard before we knew something had happened. Now, in my classroom, we have several students who go to general education classrooms. And this was another student that this student had become really close with. They spent most of the day in my room. And so when he said that, my first thought was, oh no, something's happening. I didn't know about the bullying at the time, but just knowing the statistics that suicide is the third leading cause of deaths among young people, that really hit me. I mean, this child told his mother he could not tell her that the boy was bullying him. He couldn't express that. He didn't have the capability of saying so-and-so is saying something to me, but he did have enough to say, I would rather die than go to school. Bullying victims are between 2 and 9 times more likely to consider suicide than non-victims. That's scary. To know that this child was at the age, he's almost 10, he's 9, but he will be 10. And we know that suicides are the second cause of deaths in individuals between ages of 10 and 34. And another thing too, another statistic said talking about or showing an interest in death or dying is a definite sign of suicide. So we did all that we could to prevent this. We really couldn't we did get onto the student who was doing it, but he didn't understand because he has an IEP. He just didn't understand what he was doing. But the whole solution was allowing these two students to go into the same classroom away from the student over there who was causing the issue. And because we've done that, and now the child is happy, he's smiling again, they skip down the hallways as they go to their class. So it was taken care of and it was an easy solution. But what will we do if it's not an easy solution? How can we stop bullying in other students that may consider suicide? That is the question, and that is what we need to really start thinking about, and we need to really make sure that we're doing all we can as teachers to ensure that no one's feelings are hurt. No one is considering suicide.